Could we actually be getting the fight that we really want to see? We've already got fights announced for this year. Fury Usyk is the main one that we want to see. We know that's happening May, hopefully. But with fights that are in the pipeline, there's other been fights being announced. Garcia, Haney, Joshua's facing Ngannou. It may not be the most high-level fight, but it's still a big fight nevertheless. Canelo Alvarez on May 4th. That is the date, but we don't know the opponent, right? Not going to be Jaime Munguia. Apparently, it's not going to be Charlo, but God only knows. Canelo Alvarez, in a recent interview, has shut down a potential fight with Terence Crawford. I did wonder what was going to be the situation with Crawford because, with the IBF, Boots Ennis is champion, potentially there's something there. The Errol Spence rematch apparently is on the back burner, so there's no one really there. And obviously, Tim Tszyu is fighting Keith Thurman at 154, 155 technically. But we don't know what's going on because it's kind of a bit, in limbo what's going on with Crawford. So he said it won't be Terence Crawford. He says, and I quote, "I have everything to lose and nothing to gain because if I win, they'll say, oh, he was too small." Yeah, I'd be saying that pretty much. Quite frankly, I would be saying it. Terence Crawford, it shows how talented and how great a fighter he is that I would make Canelo slight favourite, but I wouldn't make him an overwhelming favourite over Terence Crawford. Considering the fact that Crawford is a 147 fighter, this fight will be at 168 pounds, 19 pounds heavier. And Canelo, God knows what he'll be rehydrating to, at 168. Crawford, say he comes into the ring at welterweight, maybe 170 thereabouts. So, yeah, he does have everything to lose because you're not losing necessarily to your average welterweight. Let's be frank, you're losing to a historically great fighter in Terence Crawford. You really are. If you did lose. But the fact of the matter is he would have moved up 3 weight divisions and beaten you. Whereas if you beat Terence Crawford, I only say he moved up 3 weight divisions to beat you, or he moved up 3 weight divisions for you to beat him. As good a fighter as Crawford is, and he is a great fighter, it would be a case of, well, look, if both comparative size, if they're both the same size, really, that's what they would say. And yeah, look, I don't want to say I'd like to see, I'd be intrigued to see the fight, to see how it would go, but I'd favour Canelo in it. But he says it won't be Crawford. So, who else is there? I mean, Benavidez is the guy I want. And I know some people would say, well, Canelo says he's not going to fight a Mexican. Well, listen, he's born in Phoenix, Arizona. He's Mexican-American. He's not fully Mexican. You look at him on BoxRec, he's listed as an American fighter. I'm kind of clutching straws there. You look at BoxRec and you look at the American fighters. Apparently, it's going to be American. You've got Caleb Plant, already beaten him, beats Andre. Coming off the back of a loss, doesn't belong at 168, quite frankly. Berlanga is also there. I know he's Puerto Rican, but he's also listed as American. Yeah, lamb to the slaughter, that fight will be, in my opinion, for Edgar Berlanga. I mean, I'm picking him to be Podrick McCroy, but I'm not confidently picking him to be Podrick McCroy, if you get me. Podrick McCroy is not a bad fighter. Did worry about him early in his career when he went life and death with Steve Collins Jr. That's always something I cannot get out of my head, that the guy went life and death and nearly lost to Steve Collins Jr. It's one of the reasons why I am picking Berlanga, even though he has improved. You should be knocking Steve Collins Jr. out and around. You shouldn't be going 8 rounds and having to squeeze a knockout. I think that was a controversial knockout as well against Steve Collins. You really shouldn't be doing that. Pacheco, yeah, these aren't, I don't think they're quite the names for Canelo to be putting them on pay-per-view as good as Pacheco is. So then you'd have to look at someone like a Charlo, and that's making me worried now. Again, I kind of toyed with the idea, could Canelo, or maybe not even Canelo, maybe Al Heyman, people like that, knowing that Canelo is their big cash cow over there at PBC, could they be thinking, behind the scenes, all right, we're going to get Canelo versus Charlo, we're going to do it all, we're going to do this. Not that he would necessarily need it, Canelo anyway. And, Charlo say, well, look, I've heard nothing. And then Al Heyman knocks on his door, a couple of sacks of cash, and being like, yeah, you're fighting Canelo in a month. There you go. Well done. Do you want the money? Yes. Well, there you go. Listen, it's happened in the past. The famous, Larry Holmes, Mike Tyson fight where Don King arrived. I think I remember Larry Holmes on the ringside interview He did it with Adam Smith and Johnny Nelson back in the day, where I think the words Larry Holmes used were, Don King said, "Do you want to fight Mike Tyson?" And he said, "No, I don't want to fight Mike Tyson." He goes, "You'll make $3 million." And he said, "Well, I'll go and fight Mike Tyson." I think that was how he said it. I'm not sure if that's the actual figure, but it was something akin to that, is what he said on that ringside interview. That was years ago, maybe 10 years ago, he gave with Nelson and Adam Smith. Maybe something like that will happen. I don't know. But if it's not Crawford, right, if it's apparently not going to be Charlo, I'm hoping it's Benavidez. It should be Benavidez, in my opinion. He's mandatory. Get that mandatory out of the way. You know, some people have said that, should Canelo not be given, a pass to fight whoever he wants? Well, no, quite frankly. Yes, his resume speaks for itself. It genuinely does. But you want to be your undisputed champion. All right, you're undisputed at 168. If there are contenders out there like a Benavidez who you haven't beaten, albeit he doesn't bring a title, but nevertheless he's still trying to knock you off your throne. There you go. If Canelo, on the other hand, decided to vacate those titles, say, right, free it up, and he said, look, I'm not fighting Benavidez, I want to fight, whoever, I still class it as a duck, quite frankly, if he's there and available to fight. But I could kind of give him a bit more of a pass and say, all right, look, you're not a champion, you're not holding the division up, it's not like those titles are all on you and he's having to wait his turn. Fair enough. Who do you want to fight? You want to fight Charlo in a non-title fight? Fine, go and do it. You want to bring up, Terence Crawford from welterweight? You want to bring up Boots Ennis and fight him? Fair enough. You want to bring up Spence? Fair enough. Do what you got to do. I might not like those fights, but there you go. People say that, well, Floyd fought McGregor, near the end in his last fight. Actually, it's like, yeah, Floyd retired after he fought Berto. He was WBA and WBC champion. I think he had those two, or either he won the WBA title off Berto, something like that. But those titles were long since gone. Thurman had just unified with Garcia at the time. Errol Spence had just beaten Kell Brook. Those were the guys that were being talked about. I think Manny Pacquiao still had the WBO title, or did he lose it? I'm not quite sure at the time, but Manny Pacquiao was still there. But Floyd wasn't going near those guys. He wasn't going after those guys. He was looking and saying, okay, I'm going to fight McGregor. Is there anything wrong with that? It was annoying, the build up to it, listening to the casuals say, oh, McGregor's definitely going to win. You're like, please. Yeah, please. Ngannou had more of a chance, still has more of a chance than McGregor ever did. But you could look and say, well, at least he's not holding the division up. So in that sense, you could say, yeah. But with Canelo, undisputed champion, no, man. Fight Benavidez. Go on, please. Why? Why not? I like that fight. The boxing fans like that fight. I want to see that fight. I personally don't want to see you fight Charlo. Quite frankly, because Charlo had some good momentum with that Derevchenko win nearly 4 years ago. He's done nothing since then. He was out of the ring for over 2 years. I think he looked terrible last time round. So going in there now with him, we've already seen you fight one Charlo. It wasn't particularly compelling. I mean, Charlo, quite frankly, didn't turn up to win. And Canelo, you can't really blame him. He did what he got to do with what he had in front of him. A guy not really trying to win. But I quite frankly think it's going to be the same thing this time. And I think it's going to be a guy realising, all right, I'm definitely not as good as this guy. He hits very hard. I don't want to get stopped. So let's go 12 rounds and have a moral victory. I think it's going to be, I don't want to see that. Someone like Dave Benavidez, that guy is going to try and win. He is going to go in there and he is going to leave it all in the ring. And win or lose, that's what I want to see. And I think we'll see that. I think it'd be a good fight. I'd make Canelo favourite, but I'd still like to see that fight. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Canelo Alvarez, it won't be Crawford. At the minute, it won't be Charlo. Benavidez? Yeah, that's the only thing. If it's an American fighter at that weight, Benavidez makes sense. It's not going to be Demetrius Andre or someone like that. I mean, that would really be... I wouldn't accept that fight, quite frankly, at this point. Undefeated Andrade at 160, where he had a title. Again, no real sympathy for Andrade. He could have had that fight if he'd fought Zach Parker. He didn't. He would have won that fight against Zach Parker anyway. Could have been him instead of John Ryder against Canelo, but it wasn't. I wouldn't accept that fight at this minute in time, quite frankly. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Who would you like Canelo to fight? For me, I want to see him fight Benavidez. I will labour that point until I'm blue in the face, but I'd like to see it. That's the fight I want to see. I think it's the best fight. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. My big worry is that Canelo, and again, I like Canelo, but my big worry is that he has 2 fights this year that he's pretty much going to win. He's looking at the 175-pound division. He's waiting to see what happens between Beterbiev and Bivol, who comes out on top in that fight. And maybe whoever comes out on top, they vacate. And some of those titles at 175 get stagnated. And he goes, all right, I'll move up, you know. Because look at light heavyweight. You've got Bivol and Beterbiev. Well, that's it. The rest, it's a very weak division on the ground surface. I mean, someone like Anthony Yard, someone like a Joshua, even someone like Dan Aziz, realistically, if the titles are fragmented, they could pick up a title at 175. They could pick one of them up. Even someone like Craig, maybe not Craig, maybe, because it's really quite thin on the surface, like heavyweight. You know, it's really quite thin. Maybe that's what he's looking to do. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. And subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. And for now, lads and lassies, I will leave it there. Peace.